Today's suggestion is a tip on how I think you should be approaching EQ to get the best results. The reason that I wanted to talk about this is I don't think there are any kind of universal EQ curves that are going to work for every single person who has a specific mic. Your voice is going to be different, your room is going to be different, your mix needs are going to be different, and most importantly, your preferences are going to be different. So in this tip video, I wanted to demonstrate how I think you could approach EQing to make it a little bit more manageable. First things first, I have Logic Pro 10 open right now, I have a stock EQ plugin open, and I have a recording that I made with a microphone I strongly dislike the sound of so that we can use that as an example. Step 1 is don't do any EQ yet. We are not at that point. First thing we need to do is listen to the audio and listen for frequencies that we think need to be corrected, whether it needs to be boosted or whether it needs to be cut. I'm going to go ahead and play this for you so you can hear the sample we're working with. Okay, this is a very quick sample of me speaking into an unnamed microphone. I do not want to name it because I am not a big fan of it, but I know I do not like the sound of this, and that is perfect for what I am demonstrating. Step 2 is determining what frequencies you don't like. As soon as I finished listening to that, I had heard this artificial sharpness, nastiness in the mids, the upper mids of this, that I want to remove. I want to cut that out. In my EQ, what I have done is I have made an EQ band that has a very narrow Q, and I will go ahead and boost this a lot, making the frequency that we're boosting very prominent. I will play the audio sample and sweep the frequencies around to try to find out exactly where I want to cut to get rid of those frequencies. Okay, this is a very quick sample of me speaking into an unnamed microphone. I do not want to name it because I am not a big fan of it, but I know I do not like the sound of this, and that is perfect for what I am demonstrating. Okay, this is a very quick sample of... And right there around 2000 hertz is the frequency that I had been hearing that I wanted to get rid of. I want to make it abundantly clear, you should not be boosting by 12 decibels to go and find random arbitrary frequencies to cut, because anything that's boosted by 12 dB is going to sound bad. You need to have the frequency already in your ears before you go starting to look for it. Once I have found this, I will go ahead and turn this into a cut. Normally, I do not boost or cut this much, but I really don't like the sound of this microphone. I will then widen the Q to make this as corrective as I possibly can, and we are going to make this a very wide Q, and then we will play it back and make adjustments to see if we can get the best sound out of it. Okay, this is a very quick sample of me speaking into an unnamed microphone. I do not want to name it because I am not a big fan of it, but I know I do not like the sound of this, and that is perfect for what I am demonstrating. That cleared up that nasty artificial sound that was really bothering me about this microphone, but I don't think we're done yet. The next thing, I do think this is almost universal. I'm not going to say universal, but for the majority of spoken word recordings, I think that a high pass filter can be very beneficial because we're not using any of that information below 65, 70 hertz, and it will just clear up the recording and sound a little bit better. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, this is a very quick sample of me speaking into an unnamed microphone. I do not want to name it because I am not a big fan. Right there around 65 hertz, I found that seems to work pretty well, but I still think the low end is a little bit muddy. I'm going to use that exact same method that we used on the high mids to accomplish the same thing. I'm going to create a narrow Q in the EQ, and then I will go ahead and boost this and hunt around to find that mud that I hear. Okay, this is a very quick sample of me speaking into an unnamed microphone. I do not want to name it because I am not a big fan of it, but I know I do not like the sound of this, and that is perfect And right around 150 hertz is where I'm hearing a bit of unnecessary sound that I think may be affecting the intelligibility of the recording. I will turn that into a cut and widen the Q. Let's go from maybe around 1.8. And then I will turn it on and off so you can hear what that does. Okay, this is a very quick sample of me speaking into an unnamed microphone. I do not want to name it because I am not a big fan of it, but I know I do not like the sound of this, and that is perfect for what I am demonstrating. Okay, this is a very quick sample. Just cleans it up a little bit more. And the last thing that I'm going to do, something I don't typically do on most microphones, I'm going to add a high shelf to this. And we will go ahead and add that, play around with it, and see what we get and where we like it, because I do think it's a bit closed off and a little bit too dark. Okay, this is a very quick sample of me speaking into an unnamed microphone. I do not want to name it because I am not a big fan of it, but I know I do not like the sound of this, and that is perfect for what I am demonstrating. Okay, this is a very quick sample of me speaking into an unnamed microphone. I do not want to name it because it just adds a little bit more crispness up top, which I think this microphone really benefits from. And to demonstrate the final product, I will play the microphone with the EQ turned off, and then I will engage the EQ. Okay, this is a very quick sample of me speaking into an unnamed microphone. I do not want to name it because I am not a big fan of it, but I know I do not like the sound of this, and that is perfect for what I am demonstrating. Okay, this is a very quick sample of me speaking into an unnamed microphone. I do not want to name it because I am not a big fan of it, but I know I do not like the sound of this, and that is perfect. And there you go. That is how I approach EQ, and I think it's a method that you could apply to your EQing that's going to make it much easier as opposed to trying to go out and find an EQ for your specific microphone. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. The goal is to use your ears. You need to hear what you're trying to fix before you go trying to fix it. There's no problem with trying to use the EQ to find the frequencies that you are hearing that you don't like, but don't go and just try to EQ for the sake of EQing, because that's going to do you no good. And the last thing that I want to say is I don't typically do this type of EQ. In my opinion, this is extremely drastic. This is a perfect case of a microphone being poorly fit for my preferences and for my voice. That's why I think folks need to watch as many different samples of microphones as they can find from as many different sources as they can find to ensure that they're getting the right microphone for their preferences and to fit their voice as best as they can. Because this is clear indication that this microphone is not right for me. But at the same time, I understand you need to work with what you have, and if that's the case, hopefully this methodology will help you get better sounding recordings. Hopefully that was helpful, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.